Good morning, everyone, on this very fine Sunday morning. We are joined on this live discussion by Mr. V. Ratna Sabapathy from Coimbatore. He's a very dynamic person. He's a founder and managing director of Sri SS Global Venture. It's a one-of-its-kind company offering multiple business solutions for industries, businesses, and startups. He holds postgraduate degrees in science, business administration, and law, and has served as a police officer, senior police officer, and a member of the Public Service Commission. His firm SS Global Ventures now partners with the best professionals in the field of law, revenue, taxation, finance, IPR, and arbitration. So there are multiple fields being discussed here. So feel free to send in your questions as and when we start our conversation. Sir, to begin with, let me pose this question. What do you find are the challenges of running a business today? And how does a firm like yours help these businesses, and how do you do it differently from the other consulting companies?
At the threshold, let me say good morning to all viewers, and I hope that I may be actually giving something, some useful takeaway for all of you. And with that, let me go to the question. Actually, the barriers or the barriers of doing business, the problems of doing business in a country which has got 130 crore people and a democratic setup, it is enormous. And we can broadly classify the issues or barriers into two. One is from the administration side, that's government side. The another is from the self, that is society, citizens, or from ourself. If I go to government or administration side, there are lot of regulations. It is more a country of regulation, and the mindset of bureaucrats. I don't say that every bureaucrat, most of the bureaucrats. And because of too much of regulations and the mindset of the bureaucrats or the administration people, that gives a lot of discouragement to the entrepreneurs and businessmen rather than the encouragement. It also gives much scope for corruption. That is one point of view. Then regarding the self, society or ourself, most of our citizens, youngsters, actually the education system which inculcates the capacity or capability with them, it is not application oriented. Mostly it is bookish, and it doesn't give confidence to youngsters to embark on same out to a business or an industry or even some researchers. There are very minor percentage. They may be 1% or 0.5% of the students who study in affluent institutions like IIT, IIM, or Sri Ram institutes. They are actually they are having actually from the selection itself, only intelligent students go, and further they are given very good education, very good confidence and all. Even in private institutions, some of the institutions like the PSG or CIT or even KCT or Krishna in Coimbatore or in Chennai, what is this, Shivnada's College and MBA Great Lakes and all. There are some private institutions also that gives a very good education. Shortly, both the land in which the seed is issued, that should be better. So first they have to prepare with the education which can be, it should give confidence and it should give application knowledge. Then if they give enough courage and go to, okay, I want to start a business. If they want to go, the regulations must be less. And in that, definitely I will appreciate the present government of India. Most of the thing now they are bringing it actually IT based, or it is the regulations have been brought down. For example, previously To register a company, you have to run to an ROC, register of companies, and hang around him. Now, very well, you can sit in the system and you can feed everything. Now, if you want to compete in a market, you can go to GEM, that is government e-market, and register it. So I hope that the initiation or the effort it has begun. We have to see how far it goes.
Right. Sir, you did mention a lot of regulations. So, what do you think are the vital areas where businesses often face hiccups, and what are your tips on how they can deal with these situations and ensure a favorable outcome?
Actually, the main hiccup, it comes again with self and also with administration here also. With self, one has to, before starting a business, a person has to evaluate himself, make a self introspection, and he has to evaluate what capability or core competence he has. Then, depending upon the core competence, he has to think of the labor, liquidity, or the availability of finance and all. Then he has to actually evaluate the end user. Any business, the end user is the basis on which the entire universe does a business or run an industry. So in that way, as far as our institution is concerned, we have IAS officers, IRS officers. They have enough knowledge on regulations, and they know where the administrators may put a block or where they may make a remark under query or return the papers. So our executives, they guide them properly, and even practically anecdote, they take the paper to the concerned administrator or his PA and verify the paper. Sir, these are all the requirements, these are all the annexes I have. Will it be sufficient, or you want more thing? Otherwise, we will be filing a paper, it will go to them, and after some time they will put a remark and it will be returned. It will take a month. So the time is precious. In that way, we guide them properly. The time factor, we take care of them. The regulations, we take care of them. And we facilitate on time point of view and the achievement point of view.
So you were mentioning you had a lot of bureaucrats working with you who are helping you, through these paperwork and the processes involved. Could you tell me a little bit about that, about your organization, and who are these top level people who are helping companies with these kind of procedures?
Actually, first and foremost, I can say that actually an IAS officer by name Mr. Muthukumar Swami, he is only, he does guidance and assignment assistance. He actually was in textile secretary. He was the secretary to Honorable Chief Minister, and then Mr. Rajendran, an IRS officer. He is an asset, and he took. He was as the trainer to trainees in GST direct taxes with a treasury of knowledge and all the Government of India's Finance Ministry's notification, much stock with him. And one more gentleman called Mr. Somasundaram, Dr. Somasundaram, who was the additional commissioner commercial taxes. And he is the first doctor, first person to get the doctorate in GST. He did even before the direct taxes GST came in. He did his GST. Then we have additional collectors. Then we have bank officials who worked with CVC, Central Vigilance Commission, and all these persons. Besides that, a young battery of lawyers who are well versed with the emerging laws.
Right, sir. Coming to global, how can a firm like yours help businesses achieve their potential and augment their growth? There are these big four companies like KPMG and Deloitte. What can you offer which is different from their strategies?
Actually, when I go to big four companies, the prefix itself says they are big. So only the big corporates and conglomerate can afford to pay for them, and their style of functioning and all these things, the documentation which they want, everything only big corporates and conglomerates can do. we also definitely can do. But most of the companies, they evaluate things on the basis of the inputs by the way of data or statistics or papers given to them. Whereas on our part, we actually go little beyond that, because anybody who goes to them is a client and they serve for the client. But because we belong to the same place, we belong to Tamil Nadu, and we have got more attachment to this state, to this country, and to the citizens of this place, and we want to do little more. So any assignment that is given to us, like a family doctor, we go beyond that. An expert, if you go to a cardiologist, he will just stop with the heart ailment, or if you go to an ortho gentleman, he will stop with the bones and other things. But a family doctor, he knows who is you, what is you, and what are all the problems with you. So we go beyond that. If I say an example for to have a better understanding, almost a few months ago, a company in Coimbatore wanted to acquire another company in Dharwad, in Karnataka state. Actually, they had a consultation with one of the big four, and on seeing the balance sheet and the auditor's report and etc., they gave an opinion that you can go ahead with the acquirement. You can go ahead with the acquisition. Then the same company, because somebody referred to us, they came there. Then immediately what we did, we sent an auditor and senior police officer to the place, and wherein we made inquiries with the bankers, we made inquiries with some of our friends through income tax, we made inquiries with the labor department, and where they went to the place also, where they can find out, they could found that there is a labor issue. Actually, about 100 workers were agitating because they were not given salary for quite a long time, and the machineries became rusted, and there was so many problem. So they all the problem they put it on a report with the document based. Then we gave a report to that company that this is the problem. You cannot just go by the financial documents on ground. These are all the problems. So even if you go, you cannot enter into the factory because there is a labor issue. There is actually, besides the financial statement, there are some other issues, and the machineries are in this condition and etc. Wherein that company was satisfied. Of course, they made their own inquiries, satisfied, and they dropped the idea. This is not to blame, because the dedication, involvement with which we do our work is definitely, it is different from the big fours.
That's a very interesting anecdote, sir. So I also wanted to hear from you. You're from Coimbatore, which is like a hub of industries right now. So tell us about the contributions that you made to the region, in terms of helping the business houses over there.
Yeah, actually, Coimbatore is an industrial hub that you know very well. And we actually, because this is the place where I worked as a police officer, not the entire service, most of my service. And this is incidentally my native place also, where I studied my PG and PhD, and then degree in the same place. Of course, the other degrees in Bangalore and all. Actually, for example, we do every business or every issue which are referred to us, we take the personal analysis, the evaluation of the issue, and we go to the bottom line. For example, I can cite two examples. See, one company received a notice from North Indian firm stating that the trademark, the brand which they were using for the past 20 years, it doesn't belong to them. And we are the owners of the trademark or licensees of the trademark, and you have to get license from them. And they also asked for the royalty. in lakhs, in multiples of lakhs. It's a big business. It's a big brand. So when it came to us, I could find the attorney to whom they gave for the trademark registration. After publications, there were objections, and these people did not file objections, though, so they abandoned the applications. It happened before 15 years, and this was not known. This is the dedication of some of the executives who work in private companies. They did not follow it up. Then we took it up, and we went in another line saying that a trademark, actually the ownership can be acquired by continuous usage for the decades. So in fact, the company which got the trademark ownership, they came actually much later to us. That was 5 years old, whereas 20 years old. So we filed papers with the IPAB and the other places saying that, see, these are all the documents which we attain the ownership by virtue of the usage, continuous usage for so much a period. And so actually we could protect them. In another company, again, actually, so many viewers may be entrepreneurs and proprietors of companies. In other place, what they did, it is with regard to the powertrain kits for electric vehicles. Okay, the company which innovated, the company which filed papers for patent right, they wanted to supply to a big conglomerate in India these powertrain kits. Incidentally, knowingly or unknowingly, I do not know, the executive actually gave consent and transferred the IPR rights to that company. As a result of which, the principal company which developed the powertrain kits, when they wanted to manufacture an electric vehicle, they put huge rate for that powertrain kit. Say, for example, a motor car is 10 lakhs. They charge around 6 lakhs for a powertrain kit itself. Whereas the powertrain kit value will be definitely it is 1/4 of it, because they have got no other way. Now there are so many electric vehicle or powertrain kits come. And so this is the other way. Then again, this place, because we have to adjudication process never gives any solution or any verdict so much fast. Then they had a negotiation with the actually that conglomerate, and they got some what is the logical end. They saved their skin, etc. So we actually involve ourselves in crisis and everything. We involve ourselves because we have got multivarious experts. We deploy them, and we work on what is that, to reach a logical end, avoiding the litigations and other things.
Very interesting to know this. Right now, there's a very uncertain situation prevailing right now, thanks to the pandemic that is on the loose. So, in a post-COVID situation, what do you think are the fresh set of challenges that a business will be faced with, and how can they move forward?
Actually, Sister Pratibha, you welcomed the pandemic. It's okay. And we are all expecting when the pandemic will go out of the universe, because it is not in India, it is elsewhere. And the pandemic, we can say that it is very interesting question, but often most of the webinars or Zoom calls, this is the topic. Anyhow, we will give a different dimension to it. The entire business history can be rewritten now. It is post-COVID and pre-COVID. Pre-COVID, the situation is not already complicated. Business and industrial activity itself, because of the rapid changes, definitely it's complicated. But now it became much more worse. Okay, it has gone from bad to worse. Definitely, I sincerely hope that it will not go to worst, and we will definitely return to better. But in this post-COVID situation, here is actually a dire necessity that every entrepreneur, every businessman they have to necessarily take stock of the situation. If it is business on a retail industry, or if it is a manufacturing industry, everybody now, the point of focus is on the end user, consumer, because all the industry, all the business, everything is based on the consumer. When you go to the end user or consumer, you have to analyze two factors. First, his financial capacity, that is his economical situation. The second is his needs. You know, actually, factories make things or products, but only the human mind that only makes the necessities and also considers it at the background of the finance and go to purchase. So in this situation, everyone necessarily have to look upon, has to look upon the consumer. As of now, what is the situation? And as of now, what will be the mentality of the consumer, that is end user? And everybody will agree with me that the first thing, for the past almost 3 months, every factory is shut. Of course, the government employees, they are getting their salary. Even in states like Kerala, they have cut down some percentage of salary, not cut down, deferred percentage of salary. And private companies too, they have deferred, and some companies cut down. So automatically the income, it has gone down. And they are all within house, so there is no big marketing, no big expenses and all. But anyhow, the income has come down. So the human beings, the consumers, they will not go for actually luxury goods. They will not go for purchasing things which are not essential. I do not know. Ironically, the government it is they well aware of this. Maybe due to the government, BJP government, in GST they classified some goods as sin goods. Okay, which are all the sin goods? Cigarettes, liquor, that, this, and all sin goods. So people may not go for sin goods. Please don't think that the opening or don't have in mind about the TASMAC scenario. You forget about it. I am talking about the prudent people. Okay, they may not go for purchasing the luxury goods. They may not go for purchasing the goods which are not immediately wanted. So such are those industries which revolve around the essential goods. They will, they definitely, there is a possibility of the revival of those industry a little fast than the other industry. For example, food industry may pick up fast. Retail industry may pick up a little fast. Healthcare may pick up little fast. Here, actually, they have to, all the entrepreneurs and business people, they have to redesign their business plans, and they have to adapt their strategies, focusing on what is the ground reality, what is the needs of people, and how much production we have to carry out. That is one point. The other point is they have to conserve the money, and they actually they call it as zero budgeting. And now it is the time they have to think that every 1 rupee they invest, it has to create necessarily revenue. Otherwise, they need not invest, or they cannot invest.
Sir, on that note, while we are on the topic, there is a question which has come in from one Miss Arati Balasubramaniam. She is asking, with migrant workers going back to their native states and unavailability of skilled labor in our state, can you suggest a way of overcoming the situation? What is your standpoint on that, sir? A lot of migrant workers have gone back. It's a huge challenge for the businesses. So how do you look at that?
Yes, it is. It is very much true. It is very much true that because of the exodus of the migrant workers, there will be a vacuum on the labor front. But one thing, consoling factor is If an industry is totally depending on the migrant workers, the situation is different. And there too, most of the migrant workers, 95% of the migrant workers or more, they are not very much skilled workers. Actually, they were all used in textiles, that, this and all. They were not used in industries which were handling technology-oriented products and other thing. That is number one. So their exodus may not create much problem for the industries which are technology-based industries. And second thing, actually now, as I told you already, because the consumer needs have come down, except certain portfolios like food and other things, you need not produce much. You need not pile up your inventory. Okay, so you have to also take a slow pace of increasing the production and all. So with social distancing and all these things, actually you cannot, previously if you are having 300 workers, now you can accommodate less number of workers, so maybe around 100 workers or so. That is number two. Number three, and I sincerely feel, and some days ago there was a webinar wherein all the associations took part. In that, most of the associations are sure that these migrant workers who have gone to their native places, at least 70% of the workers might return, because especially in Tamil Nadu, that too in this Kongu region, they were treated so much nicely. They were given so much financial perks and everything. And definitely they can't get in this worst situation, this kind of perks or comforts in their native place. So there may be some period of disturbance that they have to manage with the available resources. They can introduce some, what is that, technical aspects, so that they can work without the human presence and all. But definitely they need not bother, especially the people in these 7 or 8 districts. We sincerely hope that at least 70% of the people will have to return, because as soon as the trains and other things resume, because if the Coimbatore or Kongu region belt itself is bad, I can definitely say elsewhere in this country will be worst, or I can say most worst. People cannot stay back.
Right. Sir, another question about the companies, if they have to get back on their feet in this current situation, which are the core areas that they should focus on right now? And what would be your tips for them?
Actually, as far as it is sectoral wise only, I can say, I cannot generalize. For example, MSMEs, I can say that the government has given adequate or satisfactory level of soaps or the packages. For example, if I say that an MSME, this is micro, small or medium industry, whichever it may be, now the capital investment aid is there. Okay. For example, if it is a land, building, and they cannot infuse fresh investment on it, then machinery, materials, and other things are the working capital. Now they have given 1 year holiday period for the repayments, and they have also given that 20% of the previous turnover, without any security or guarantee, they can get it as a loan. 20% of that is from the last April 1st to February end. That turnover, 20% they can get it as loan or anything without guarantee. So the money comes. Then they need not pay their EMI. Then 2% of the PF, the Provident Fund contribution, government takes it off. Like this, they have planned to infuse liquidity, that is working capital, in the hands of the MSME people. So I hope that it will give a good hand for them to buy at the threshold. At least they can get satisfied. And today I was inquiring with some of the people, and some of the banks, they have started giving the loans and other things. I hope that the bank managers, they will not be sadist, will not have sadist approach. They will have to definitely contribute to this nation, contribute to the industry, which has given 50% employment in this nation. So I hope that things will go bright optimistically, but maybe in slow pace.
So, sir, on that note, the finance minister did announce a package for the nation recently. And how much do you think it would be helpful in reviving these businesses? And what is your take on the whole thing?
Actually, regarding the packages which the finance minister announced, I could get actually around 3 lakh crores. It is for the MSMEs and startups. And as I already told, this money is to be introduced or to be applied to the working capital. And they have also instructed the GST people to refund the input tax credit held amount and also the income tax to refund the TDS, whichever is, or advance tax, whichever is held by them. So in all spheres, they wanted to get some money in the hands of the entrepreneurs so that they can invest it with the working capital or running the industry and etc. Here again, what I would stress upon all our businessmen and industrialists, actually they have to shed their blood and sweat to overcome the tides. That is my request.
Right. Sir, another important thing, Coimbatore is home to a lot of entrepreneurs and startups. You do make a differentiation, you do make a slight different, you have certain parameters based on which you decide whether one is a startup or just an entrepreneur. So tell me a little bit about what are the parameters based on which you decide one is a startup and one is an entrepreneur, and what can be done to re-energize the sector?
Actually, the startup and the I have to then, if I have to answer this question, then I have to actually embark upon the two classifications, MSMEs and startups. First of all, people must understand what are all the MSMEs and what are all the startups. Actually, MSMEs are classified micro, small, medium industries or SSIs. They are classified on the basis of the investment on the material machinery side. Okay, and the government has given, if they register themselves as MSMEs in the DIC and etc., then the government give a lot of soaps to them, and the government orders, actually 20% of the government orders have to be given to MSMEs. The startups, actually, the startups are a little ahead of the MSMEs. And most of the people do not have a proper understanding or evaluation of the startups. Actually, a startup, it should be an innovative company, first of all. It should be an innovative company, and it should be actually purposeful. The company should serve a purposeful service or purposeful product to the consumers or to the end users. There is no use of merely keeping money, and the money has to fulfill the requirement of people. The investment has to fulfill the requirement of people. So the only the innovative company, see, the people must understand between the difference between the invention and innovation. I don't say that new ideas, new product, that are all inventions. Here, innovative means, the innovative, the very word here denotes purposeful. It should serve the purpose in a novel way, not in the conventional method, in an advanced way by conserving the manpower, by conserving the time, and etc. I can, if I have to show or give an anecdote, those sold, Captain Gopinath gave Air Deccan. You know, there is aviation service previously, but he came up with the strategy of providing cheap air travel. And thankful to everybody must remember, because most of the people, they take air travel only because of Air Deccan. not only because so much cheap it was. Then it went to the hands of Malaya, and that is all a different story. So then again, Paytime, it is a startup. Paytime is a startup. I can even say that your Uber or Swiggy, these are all the ideas with which the purpose or the requirement is served in a novel way. It is not that previously no taxi was there. It is not that no food parcel was there. Actually, it was given in a different way. Now, in this juncture, I have to mention one thing. Most of the people may be saying that businesses failed. Rather, I would say businesses actually did not fail. The businesses model, that model in which they were carrying out the business only failed. Because as soon as the Swiggy came, as soon as the Uber came, all the taxis and the other conventional tourist taxis failed. The consumers are there, but the consumers' expectation with the cheap and immediate technology-oriented service, they feel comfortable. So the startup means it should serve the people, but in an innovative way, in a quick, in an economical way, it has to serve. That is the purpose. For example, these startups have to get the income tax exemptions and the other preferences for 3 years and all these things. As soon as they register within 7 years or 10 years, I suppose that now they have amended. It may be a firm, it may be a company, it may be an LLP, but they have to register it, and they have to undergo the second step is they have to get the Interministerial Board IMB's approval through the DPIT, that is the Department of Industrial Promotion, that is inside trade, that Indian trade or something. So they have to get the certification of these institutions. Shortly, I will come to an end. Actually, this is, I can say that down to the earth to have better understanding of this by the youngsters and other people. First, they have an idea. They should have an idea to address or fulfill the needs of the people. They should let them have an idea. Then let them have a POC, principle of concept or prototype, the second piece. Then the third piece is market validation, how much we may have to spend and how much a consumer has to give. Then they should go for commercialization. This is the 4 stages in which a startup has to be brought out. And the startup alone can actually compete and can come to the unicorn companies, occupy spaces in unicorn. And actually, Bangalore is the top 20 cities in the world which have got more number of startups, and we are in the 3rd stage of the numerical number of startups. First is the US, followed by UK, and India is the 3rd.
Right, very interesting there. Sir, there are a few questions which have come from a few viewers. So this lady, Mrs. Gauri, asks you, what type of startups would you recommend for young women who would like to start a business?
Yeah, definitely. Women occupy around 10 to 13% of the entrepreneurs in startups. And interestingly, because she's a lady, yesterday I came across a novel idea from a lady Indian citizen in California. She developed a pad to be used by ladies. It is actually an organic, natural pad. It gives so much of comfort and also health protection to ladies. She was giving ad, and there was also a promotion activity. And she can, which are all the basic requirements. And that is one. And then luxury requirements, as I already told. Then how can they address? I already told you, steps, which are all the needs. then how can they address the needs with relevance to the technology, with relevance to the modernization, and they can try for it. They can again validate it in the market, then they can go for commercialization. So basically the needs have to be assessed. And instantly I have to show that once it is markedly validated, they have to go for branding also. Now the brands occupy very well a conspicuous position in marketing and commercialization.
Right, so there is one more question from lady. Mrs. Gomati writes, is there a specific scheme or schemes from central government for aspiring women entrepreneurs for existing businesses or for startups?
No, actually, there is no much difference between the concessions for MSME and startup. Even I can say that as far as startups are concerned, they give income tax and direct and indirect taxes exemption, and also certain percentage of government orders and all. But the immediate benefits they can reap with MSMEs only. They can first register the company either as I already told you as a firm, LLP. I will advise them to go for as a firm. Then depending upon their expansion, if they need a better administration structure and the actually more quantity of the products, they can convert it into a private limited company, and then they can, if furthermore if they develop, they can go for IPO and all. But they have to necessarily start from MSMEs. Okay, then these MSMEs within a period of 7 years, or if the amendment goes 10 years, they can then convert it into a startup. So MSMEs have got more concessions and more, especially for ladies, the government gives more facilities, soaps and etc. I would rather advise her to register it as a firm, get an MSME certificate, and go and then expand her tentacles to startups by converting the firm into a company.
Okay, sir, I'll just finish with our few questions and then we will take more questions from the viewers. Getting back to what we were talking about, what is your reading of the current market conditions? And what are your recommendations for re-energizing startups that are facing a crisis right now?
Actually, the market condition is again and again I tell, market is consumer based, user based. The market condition, because we are all shut within the four doors, the market conditions are merely food and Netflix or Sun Direct or what is Hotstar, that's all. So in this situation, what is the need? So in this situation, this is only the need. And after June 1st, people will slowly go for acquiring the food products, even clothes. Previously, they were purchasing 4 t-shirts. Now they will purchase 1 t-shirt only. And the, what is that, comfort or the so much convenience and etc. It will definitely go. So what I would request is they have to assist the demand, assist the mentality or assist the mindset of the consumers, evaluate it, and then only they have to go for production. Because as soon as I start my industry, all the 100 workers are there, I will start producing 1,000 pieces as I was doing on February of this year. Then you will have to suffer, because your inventory both and the aspect of product and everything will get stuck in your godowns and you have to suffer.
Right. Sir, you are from Coimbatore. It's a hub of entrepreneurs. How do you assess the situation there, and how hard or easy is it going to be for businesses there to, get back on their feet?
Actually, as far as Coimbatore, I can proudly say, because Coimbatorian, the entrepreneurship is in our gene. It is with our blood. And Coimbatore is the only place in 1960s when the severe drought came, when there was actually the agriculture and etc. failed. Then people slowly, not every people, a considerable number of people switched over to the towns seeking jobs and seeking what is that, opportunities, etc. Then only came the small industries or small workshops and all. At that time, the textile was at its Ganapati textile was at its peak. LMW was just starting, and textile was giving enough opportunities for the small lathe and drill people to give ancillary or job work. And with that, they slowly picked up. And now we are manufacturing not only motors per year, 3,500 crores, more than that. We are catering almost 50% of the needs of the country. The companies like Texmo, CRI or Suguna or DPF, uh, they manufacture products worth of more than 3,500 crores. Similarly, the Lakshmi Machine Works, they manufacture the textile machineries for the entire country, and their joint venture with the Swiss partner is also over, I hope so. They also, then Premier Polytronics, they manufacture ring data, electronic ampere, that is all modern gadgets. And not only that, I can proudly say that some of the defense products are manufactured in L&T hub in that bypass road. And still more, we can say that even some of the part of the softwares for Rafale, that French plane, warplane, is actually that program is done in a company on Avinashi Road. And Roots, they are manufacturing components for some jet planes and etc. And the company Eppinger in Pollachi Road, they are manufacturing complicated gearbox for robots to be exported to multivarious countries like this. So many companies, they are all technology based, not with so much of labor and etc. And I will appreciate actually even one of the company has manufactured an equipment called ITRS, Intelligent Retrieval System, which is a very complicated mechanism, and that is the first Indian company that is in Coimbatore, and all its products are now functioning in Delhi Airport Dial. And even they are manufacturing disinfection tunnels. So we can say I can give a big list, and it is not the least. It is I can what I would like to point out here is the facilities, the availability of technocrats, the capability, and everything. It is on aggregate of all these things that makes us proud.
Right, sir. Just to wrap up this whole conversation, I would like to ask you about what kind of suggestions and solutions would you have to offer these business houses to tide over this current situation, and how long do you think it will take for things to normalize right now?
Actually, this is a little broader question. As I already told you, it has to be actually segment war or industrial war only. The revival period and the revival strategy has to be worked. For example, if it is a textile industry, of course, again in this Congo belt, Vedasandur, right from Vedasandur to Tirupur district, we have got number of textiles. Textile units, because now they have to make a little adaptation, ADAP. That is, they have to change their strategy, and now there is a market, huge market for the PPEs, gloves, and actually even bedspreads and etc. Similarly, if it is technical textiles, they manufacture masks, and some business houses, they manufacture face shield and etc. So in short, they have to first the first priority is to fulfill the immediate needs of the end users. Okay, in that case, the COVID material manufacturer already Coimbatore and the surrounding people have embarked on it. And definitely the first superior quality of PPEs were supplied from Coimbatore only. And Citra only is the certification authority, that is South Indian Textile Research Association. And the other things, actually, we have a very experienced businessman here with a very formidable organization like Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industry. What is needed is they have to sit with in a place, or they have to have deliberations, shedding their egos and everything, and they have to evolve out a strategy. Already they are doing it, and then they have to implement it in phases, and they cannot be totally relying on the external facilitations like the government or some other thing. And now we have huge opportunities by that in the absence of the China market. Actually, today we have a multinational conference because anyhow, at least for 1 or 2 years, the European countries and US, they are not going to buy China that is products. So they have to find out which are all the products that are imported from China to these European countries or US. Definitely, our people have got the capacity to manufacture that. The only criteria is it should be of superior quality, and it should actually consolidate the pride of the nation, and they should not have only profit objective. They should first of all, they should capture the offshore market. So definitely they will do it because I'm only a consultant. They are in the field, and they may be doing it. But my request is that only. My request is they have to actually awaken. They have to, as I already told, form strategies, use their what is optimum wisdom, etc.
Right. So you're saying there is ample opportunities there. There is immense potential for businesses right now. Sir,
Definitely.
we'll move on to the questions. There are few people who've posted questions, after during our Facebook Live. So AL Sriram wants to know, how important is the local culture in framing business advisory?
Yeah, actually, this is a very varied question. The local culture has to be necessarily taken into account when you finalize any product. For example, I can say that this McDonald's or KFC, these people, when they went to China, they miserably failed because they failed to understand the requirement of China. They cannot, in China, you cannot go and sell your burgers and your finger chips and etc. Instead, they eat something. And similarly, when they come to India, they have to adapt to the requirements because our habits, our culture means what? All your age-old activities followed from your forefathers. It has got relevance. So a business which do not understand, which do not go by the guidance of the culture or the frame of the culture, it will definitely fail. In a place where people use only t-shirts and parmados or pants, you cannot go and sell dhotis. Okay. Similarly, in a place which has got chains full of vegetarian, you cannot go and sell chicken. So the culture plays a pivot role, a vital role in actually in finalizing the requirement or finalizing the demands of the customers.
Right. Sir, another question from Mr. Natarajan Sheshadri there. Is there an age limit for startup loans and SOPs?
I don't think there is there is age limit for startup. There is no age limit for startup, definitely. But the company has to be converted into a startup within a time frame, and it should be innovative. Should be innovative, and there are some other thing that is a requirement like the ROC, your returns, your performance, and everything that is there.
Right.
There is no age limit. Definitely no age limit.
Another important thing that your company has been dealing with, IPR, how long does it take to register a patent and how long does it take for the patent to get through?
Actually, the patent, as soon as you conceive the idea or as soon as you finalize the invention, here we have to please note the word invention. It should be new. it should be new means how do you find it should be new? You have to go to prior art search. You have to go for prior art search means you have to find out whether this particular process or product exists in the world previously. If the same, see, patents can be done only for process and products. They have to first, because there is a big difference between a design and a patent. Because a patent right can be done only for process and product, and it should be actually it should be new. It should be it should not have been in existence prior to your invention. And if it's so, then you have to file the provisional specification paper. That is your idea on that. With you need not give the entire details, but so far what you have done, you can also add some value additions, some more modernization and all you can add. But that preliminary paper is called provisional specification. You have to file it. Then once it is accepted, they will give 1 month time. Sorry, 1 year time, 12 months time. And after that 12 months time, before the lapse of that 12 months time, you have to file the final specification. Then they will actually publish your papers, and if it is not objected after sealing the procedure and other things, the patent right may be given. This is what the patent procedure is.
Right. Sir, another question similar to what we discussed. How are the MSMEs preparing for the labor drain?
Labor?
Drain, the migrant workers.
Actually, the MSMEs in India, they give almost 50% of the job that is prevailing now. Now, with the exodus of these migrants, again, actually, the concerned entrepreneurs have to stretch their nerves. And little consoling factor is, as I already told, the quantum of products, the quantum of ancillaries that are to be supplied to their principal company as a vendor. All these things may be little low when compared to the previous requirements. So the local MSME owners or the proprietors, they can actually pool themselves. For some MSME, there may be orders. For some MSMEs, there may not be orders. So they have to shed their egos. They have to pool their resources. That is the intelligent way of managing the demand.
Right. I hope that answers your question, Mr. Karthikeyan. Now, moving on, another question about post-COVID scenario. Post-COVID, is there a possibility of MSME clusters to join as groups and employ common labor to reduce labor costs? Do you see that happening, sir?
Yeah. It has to come into existence. It has to come into existence. They can map the industries. Say one industry which is manufacturing one type of ancillary for this. There may be 10 industries, and all the 10 industries may not have the required number of orders. So they can pool, as I already told you, they can, it is like crowdfunding. They can pool their resources, and they can work, only one or two industries can work. Even the proprietors can work in that particular industry, share the profit, and they can hold the market. What I would request is, if you say that we do not have labor, immediately they may switch it over to other place, or they will find alternative. Okay, for some alternative may be there, for some there may not be any alternative. But the retaining a customer is very important in a business. So all MSMEs, that too Coimbatore and its surrounding places, what I would sincerely request them, you please pool your resources, you please cooperate, and you please integrate yourself, like cooperative farming and other thing. You work in a place that there also, if somebody has a new machinery, modern machinery, which could cater the needs of the principal company, they can do the work there instead of doing a rustic machine and seeing all this the ego business and everything.
Right. So there is another question from Ms. Lalita Venkatraman. She asks, the demand the demand from the consumer side may be very low right now. But once we are done with the COVID, do you foresee a boom in demand, particularly in automobiles, because of the fear in people's mind about using public transport due to possible infection?
Yeah, this was predicted by some of the automobile industry expert and also owners. What my assessment or evaluation is, there may be, but this has got a direct link with the economical condition of the end user. And I sincerely feel that all electrical vehicles will get a push up. Okay, all electrical vehicle will get a push up, and in fact, Coimbatore has got much potential for manufacture of the electrical vehicles. Already, we are the Coimbatore is manufacturing Ampere scooters. Actually, it was made by one Hemalata, a lady only, but now she has shed it out and given to other firm. And the Jaim Automobiles, they were manufacturing EV vehicles, and Coimbatore itself is manufacturing EV vehicles. It will have a good market, and people may choose to go for EV vehicles more. That is my prediction.
Right. So another question, it's more of a personal question also. What made you shift from being a police officer to what you're today? And what were the initial challenges that you faced when you started your own venture? And what advice would you give to someone who would like to start their own venture? This is from Mr. Nizar Mohammed.
No problem, because there is nothing. Knowledge is to be shared. Actually, when I was a police officer, I had the patience to actually go in the subject or focus in the subject of law more. And because it was needed for me as a police officer. And I conducted actually very, what is that, popular cases like the case in wherein in Araspuram on Vivek was murdered, wherein several persons were the accused high stake persons. And I was also monitoring the bomb blast cases in the special court. And we conducted many sensational cases. So I had to interact with the senior lawyers and run pillar to post in the High Court and Supreme Court. So uh, I developed a passion towards law, and I did my law degree, and then I did my MBL in National Law University. And till still we have an understanding with the National Law University or IPR and contract law Sierra. And because most of the police officers, they have routine, they will start immediately a security company because they will not leave their the old thirst for the command or for the dresses, uniform, and etc. But because from the initial or from my service itself, while I was a police officer, I deviated from that. I am supposed to be, not supposed to be, I was awarded as the best student of PSGIM. So one side management degree, another side law degree, and etc. So when I was member Public Service Commission, I had interaction with a lot of leading law firms and consultancy firms. Then I thought that the place Coimbatore, which gave me enough face and enough experience. We want experienced people to guide the business and industries and also the youngsters. Because instead of the youngsters, for example, going in a road and finding that it has got riddled with pits and falls, and at last, before the destination, there is a big bar. They have to return. For that, why I am comparing that analogy to that, instead of an youngster jumping into a venture and suffering and learning a lesson and getting a bad result, we have got already experience as a bureaucrat and as an academician. More than money and everything, we can guide the people which is the right road they can go, which is the right mission wherein they can reach the vision which they have planned. So it is to guide people rather than to earn money. And actually, we follow that principle only.
I'm sure that's a big source of inspiration to a lot of people. So another question from Mr. Soundarraj Duraiswamy, who would like to know how SS Global will be able to facilitate the industry during COVID and post-COVID. I think he wants to know how you will be able to help the industries in a post-COVID situation. What would be your challenges from your side?
Actually, post-COVID situation, if it's a very good question. If any industrialist or businessman comes, we can evaluate their capability and we can evaluate what they are doing as of now and what they can do. For example, I can say that in Tirupur, one of our allied client, I can even name the industry, it is SRG Apparels. They are our good clients, and they are actually for mother care and other big companies, MNCs, they are supplying. And because of this situation, I suggested to them that you can go for the PPEs or apparels, which are in big demand now. They actually converted one of their division for PPEs, and they find it comfortable. And even one of my own cousin, he is incidentally occupying very good post. He actually, because he has got a very big textile chain, and he instead embarked on manufacturing of the same PPE mask and etc. And his masks are supposed to be superior brand in India. And Amazon, they have entered into a contract of purchasing lakhs and lakhs of pieces. They gave advance money. Similar to that, we have to know the capability, the resources of persons and the market demand. Only thing is to bridge everything we cannot bridge. We have to understand, evaluate, and connect it to the proper demands. Definitely, we can help it out.
So I will. Can we take one more question and we can wrap this session up? Mr. Vishal Guleri has a question about startups. With the recent changes, should we do more launches on online platforms, or do you think the traditional mode of network on grounds still would work?
No, actually, I would suggest her that they should use optimum usage of ITES, Information Technology Enabled Services. Okay. And this actually, if you see the unicorn companies where the investment is 1 billion and above, India is at a very bottom stage. So if you see, evaluate the unicorn, number of companies in unicorn, mostly they are all IT based or electronic based industries. So it is not that only, the future world is only for, it is all, everybody knows, it should be not conventional. It should be definitely not conventional. It should be actually the optimum and intelligent usage of the IT platforms. That only they can grow and they can earn and they can serve better for the people.
Right. So thank you so much for that advice, and it was a very interesting, inspirational, and enlightening segment that we had with you. Thank you so much for sparing so much time on a Sunday morning to chat with us on very important things, the challenges that the businesses are facing today, and to address some of them, provide solutions to some of them, which is more important at this point. So thank you so much for your time, sir. We look forward to meeting you again sometime. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. It's my privilege to share the platform of Times of India, which belongs to Bennett and Coleman Group, an age-old company. And similarly, thanks to all viewers, because more than us, we do, more than us, they all spend their time with some hope on Times of India and tiny hope on the SS Global also. So I welcome everybody that we will give a rational, we will give a logical solution to the best of our ability and truly and honestly. We welcome everybody, and I hope that this would have been a good session for all of them. Good day to you. Good day to all viewers. All the best. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.